April is World Autism Month. The CDC tells us autism affects 1 in 54 children in this country. Here this morning is Dr. Pamela Dixon with Autism Speaks. Welcome, doctor. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, doctor, how do you define autism?
So autism is a condition, and it's characterized by difficulties with social interaction, communication, and also the presence of repetitive behaviors or restricted or over-focused interests.
We hear the expression, on the spectrum. What does that really mean?
So, what it means is that every person with autism, of course, is an individual and different, just like everyone else. But the spectrum refers to how a person can vary in the severity of their challenge in any of those dimensions. So they can range in terms of their challenge with social interactions, with communication, and how challenging their restricted interests or behaviors are.
I read where in some communities, underserved communities, it is more difficult for people with autism to get that help.
There are fewer resources in those communities for people to access both diagnostic services and interventions. And there are also barriers. There's language barriers. There's, historic difficulties interacting with healthcare systems as a barrier. There are lots of reasons, but that is why we are working with the Ad Council to focus on lowering the age of diagnosis. So by encouraging people to screen.
Right here, baby.
The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
It's a 2-minute screening. It's available in English and Spanish, and families can walk away with an indication of whether they should seek a more thorough diagnosis.
What about noticing the signs of autism?
Sure. So in young children, the signs would be, not having language develop as it would be expected for their age, having difficulty interacting with peers. If a child has interests that are so intense that it's hard for them to transition out of them, or if they have repetitive motor behaviors like flicking of hands or fingers or arm flapping. The combinations of these things is what are the red flags for autism.
We tend to think of children having autism, but can we look ahead and see where it may be an adult that gets it later in life?
Oh, sure. 1 in 45 adults in the U.S. are estimated to have autism. And so it's entirely possible for adults to to get an evaluation and diagnosis of autism. And actually, because of the reduction of stigma associated with autism, there are more adults who are, coming forth and saying, look, I want to get an evaluation. I want to know if that's, what's happening with me.
If a parent thinks that their child may have autism, what kind of resources are out there that they can investigate to maybe at least get some pre-help?
We have a lot of resources available at the Autism Speaks website, and that can help with early signs as well as specific things like how to manage challenging behaviors. And then there are early childhood programming that's available through free through every state, and so that's another place where families may get resources and support. And of course, they're healthcare providers.
All right. Well, I've looked at your website, and there's a wealth of information there for people to look at, to absorb, and to learn. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And stay right there. We'll be right back.